welcome to Mojo Plays, and today we're counting down our picks for the 10 worst Resident Evil characters.
I can just extract the web key from this dongle.
Whatever that means. Just do your thing.
For this list, we'll be looking at characters in the survival horror series that got under the fans' skin in the worst ways. Which Resident Evil character did you dislike watching on screen? Let us know down in the comments.
Before we begin, we publish new content all week long, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.
Ashley Graham, Resident Evil 4.
Her name's Ashley Graham, the president's daughter.
Is she... well, you know.
Don't worry, she's cool.
Keeping Ashley safe in the original Resident Evil 4 is an exercise in patience. The president's daughter offers little to no help to Leon within gameplay, interfering with the action more often than not. Players essentially have to babysit her all the way through, saving Ashley from peril more than several times. Mainly though, her presence isn't appreciated because of how much of a chore it is to look out for her.
No! Get away!
Calm down. Everything's going to be just fine. My name's Leon.
Enemies continually target Ashley to force players into a corner, significantly slowing down the pace of the action. The lack of character development also makes Ashley a one-dimensional person to have around. Fortunately, the 2023 remake fixed a lot of her flaws for a better experience.
Are you out of your mind?
I knew you'd be fine if you landed on your butt.
You...
James Marcus, the Queen Leech, Resident Evil 0.
Obedience breeds discipline. Discipline breeds unity. Unity breeds power. Power is life.
A mutated leech consumes the body of Dr. James Marcus, taking on his memories and his vendetta against Umbrella. As the creator of the T-Virus, Marcus is responsible for starting the entire fiasco, even if it's technically the hybrid Queen Leech in control. Despite this interesting setup, the villain doesn't do much other than go on stereotypical monologues.
Playtime is over. You and your friends no longer amuse me. Good riddance.
He doesn't come across as the giant threat he should be. Instead, Marcus is like a drama queen whose every move is needlessly theatrical and out of place for a survival horror story. Marcus seems evil for the sake of being the bad guy, rendering him interchangeable with other hybrid monsters we've seen before.
Now I will have my revenge on Umbrella, and the world will burn in an inferno of hate!
Ramon Salazar, Resident Evil 4.
I was starting to wonder when you might notice us.
Who are you?
Me llamo Ramon Salazar.
The easiest way to sum up Ramon Salazar is that he looks like a child and acts like a man-child. The owner of the Los Illuminados castle, Salazar lays out numerous traps for Leon. The villain's habit of going on egotistical rants and wisecracks makes him unlikable the moment he arrives.
Ah, you just missed her. The ritual is over.
Salazar behaves too much like a B-movie villain to be taken seriously, seeping away most of the horror elements from the game. He's someone players want to eliminate as soon as possible. However, Salazar maintains an annoying presence for a significant amount of time. His cheesy nature overstays its welcome, although this means that killing him off is all the more satisfying. Keith Lumley, Resident Evil Revelations.
Oh, of these two.
What took you two so long? At least we're here.
There's nothing wrong with comedic characters, but it can get on people's nerves when that's someone's entire personality. Along with Quint Ketchum, Keith Lumley has a jarring presence in Resident Evil Revelations. The two are incompetent to the point where it makes no sense why they would ever be selected for the BSAA.
Whatever that means. Just do your thing.
Keith throws in several quips to try and justify his place in the game, but none of these manage to land. The character stands as proof of how far the Resident Evil series had strayed away from its horror roots by then. Sequences dedicated toward Keith and Quint also steal focus from the main protagonists, making most of them a giant waste of time.
Talk about a wrench in the works. Keep it together, and oh! They never had a chance.
Ricardo Irving, Resident Evil 5.
So you must be Irving.
Wow, perceptive, aren't ya?
Villains like Albert Wesker are popular because of the subtle manner of their evil nature. Unfortunately, Ricardo Irving has no such nuance in his characterization. He's the villain in the initial portion of Resident Evil 5, where he challenges Chris Redfield and Shiva Alomar. Rather than prove himself a worthy foil, Irving is limited to acting like a lunatic.
Won't you two just die already? You're making me look bad!
Although we're told he's the brains behind the bioweapon sale, the villain never displays any level of tactical thinking. Even his boss fight comes across as a generic battle against a mutated enemy. Irving's motor mouth doesn't stop during his final moments either, irritating players one last time.
Hurry! Suckers!
Jessica Sharawat, Resident Evil Revelations.
Jessica, why did you fire?
To protect our people. Isn't that our job?
Chris Redfield has never given romance any thought, and it's uncomfortable to watch Jessica constantly trying to get his attention. The character spends the entirety of Resident Evil Revelations flirting with him in vain, which gets progressively inappropriate. Jessica is later revealed to be a Tricell mole, implying her antics were exaggerations to maintain her cover.
He never got the hint. What a drag.
Maybe he's already taken, Jessica.
This is too little too late, since we barely get to see her villainous potential. Instead, Jessica's remembered for her needlessly flirty dialogue and tonal inconsistency with the game's events. The series hasn't picked up on the consequences of her evil actions either, so putting up with her was all for nothing.
Do you trust me as much as Jill?
There's no need to compare. I trust you both.
Jake Muller, Resident Evil 6.
Look who's back.
Introduced as a new lead character, Jake's run ended when he failed to connect with fans. This is because he tries too hard to come across as an action hero, showing more flash than substance. It doesn't help that his partner Sherry Birkin is a well-rounded character whose emotional complexities are lost on Jake.
Tell me, we just following orders? Or was it personal?
Both.
As the son of Albert Wesker, Jake's resistance to the C-Virus is the hook that links him to the story, but this also turns him into a living MacGuffin, as Jake's immunity is his only appeal. His angsty attitude doesn't go well with his heightened abilities, and it's difficult to understand what he's all about. All things considered, it's not surprising that the character hasn't been seen in any Resident Evil media since his debut.
Who the hell are you to tell me what to do?
Stop it!
Put your gun down, now!
Billy Cohen, Resident Evil 0. A combination of monotone voice acting, unclear origins, and lack of chemistry with Rebecca prevented Billy Cohen from returning to the series. Despite being a co-protagonist, Billy behaves way too shifty to be trustworthy. It's never fully confirmed if he really was responsible for killing 24 people, and his behavior furthers these doubts. This backstory is never fleshed out, but it's all Billy has going for him in Resident Evil 0.
Did you kill 23 people? I'm not going to judge you. I just want to know the truth.
He retains an obnoxious attitude around Rebecca for the majority of the game, so it's fairly easy not to sympathize with him. Since the game is a prequel, Billy's story has no bearing on the overall storyline, making the character even more forgettable.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Steve Burnside, Resident Evil Code Veronica, and Resident Evil The Dark Side Chronicles.
Sorry about that little misunderstanding, but I thought you were another one of those monsters.
Shut up!
It's hard for a normal human to be the worst thing during a zombie outbreak, but Steve manages to achieve this dubious honor. Steve's personality is the completely wrong tone for a survival horror series like Resident Evil. He seems to be content with flirting with Claire Redfield instead of acknowledging the danger the two are in. The character goes through a super quick arc within a short span of time, going from distrusting Claire to falling in love with her before he's killed off.
I'm sorry. I failed you.
This sacrifice doesn't have an impact after Steve spent most of his time leering at the protagonist instead of actually helping out. At best, Steve points out the outdated tropes that have been phased out of gaming.
I didn't even do anything.
Derek C. Simmons, Resident Evil 6.
If the two of you feel so strongly about your innocence, then you should have no problem turning yourselves in.
Simmons is revealed as the mastermind behind Raccoon City's destruction and the killing of the US president. And yet, such a seemingly diabolical character's motivation happens to be an obsessive crush on Ada Wong. After being unable to charm her, Simmons experiments on over 12,000 women just to create a clone of Ada.
Answer me!
It's for the benefit of the United States and global security.
His over-the-top outbursts do nothing to depict him as a credible threat at any point in the game. The lackluster goal of the man responsible for kickstarting the overarching story is one of the biggest letdowns in the series. It's no wonder Resident Evil went back to villains who invoke a sense of fear among fans, since all Simmons does is chew the scenery each time he's on screen. Plus, he turned into a zombie dinosaur at the end, which is just stupid.
Well played.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from Mojo Plays, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.